Late summer and early autumn, the harvest is celebrated in the vineyards. When the grapes are fully ripened, grape after grape, vineyard after vineyard, we begin the harvest and start the vinification. There's a flurry of activity in this period. There are almost 200 growers associated with the Cantina del Nebbiolo, with numerous vineyards, 300 hectares, located in many different areas between the Roero and the Langhe, with 80% of the vineyards on the left side of the Tanaro and 20% on the right. It is necessary to coordinate the work, organizing and planning the harvest. No time can be wasted because in September and October, every hour is worth gold. Each vineyard has its own schedule, its own characteristics and needs. Every detail must be taken into account. The harvest usually begins with the white grapes, Moscato, then Amaes, Favorita and Nascetta. Then come the red grapes, Dolcetto, and right after Fraissa and Bonarda grapes arrive, and finally Barbera and Nebbiolo. Throughout the year, each vineyard is visited several times and checked by the agronomist from the cantina. The objectives are twofold: to help the growers make the most appropriate decisions quickly, and to predict the characteristics, positive or negative, of the grape production to work better in the cellar. Vineyards are checked in the last 30 to 40 days of the growing season, with a visual assessment of the clusters and a periodic collection of grapes to evaluate maturation, the gradual increase of sugar, and the reduction of acidity. When all of the preparations are complete, it begins. In each vineyard, the grapes are carefully cut from the vine, checked and collected in the proper containers, which are used to transport the grapes to Cantina. Arriving at the cantina, the member grower is proud of his load of ripe grapes. Depending on the type of grape, they will be pressed or crushed. The grape must is always sweet and fragrant, and on the basis of the origin of the grapes, and in particular the quality, the juice will be sent to reserved tanks for fermentation. Initially, the grape must rests, silent and tranquil. Then it gradually begins to murmur, alternating breathing sounds, rumbling and gurgling. Little by little, the fermentation dies down and the gurgling of the tank slows. The new wine begins to show itself just as the container is opened. At this point, the path of the various wines separates. Each has its own route to take. The fresh and fruity wines, those meant to be sold and consumed young, will spend a few months in the stainless steel containers to complete their cleaning process and aging. Some will go directly into bottles and others into larger containers. The wines of greater structure, destined for a longer aging, change their resting place and are moved from stainless steel tanks to wood barrels, large or small, which soften the young angularity and finds in its innermost structure the noble characteristics of maturation. The time in the barrel depends on the structure of the wine. Some wines have specific aging obligations by law that varies depending on the wine. A few months for the Langhe Nebbiolo, a year for the Nebbiolo d'Alba and the Barbera d'Alba, and even more for Barolo and Barbaresco. When the maturation is complete, the wine needs to spend time in the bottle, different sizes, but always glass. Once in the bottle, a new and equally fascinating, almost mysterious process goes on. The wine ages in the truest sense of the word. The angularity of youth is a distant memory, and the wine in the bottle uncovers new characteristics. The color comes alive, the elegant fragrance develops, and the flavors balance with all of the elements of the grapes, the land, and the winemaking, with the final preparation for meeting with the consumers who are always passionate and demanding. So, prepare the celebrations, or rather, prepare the celebrations. Anytime one of these bottles is opened and served at the table with a meal, it is a celebration. The final step that completes the life of the wine is a toast. The process that started on that winter day in the snowy vineyards in the hills between the Lange and Roero and ends on a table, in celebration, somewhere in the world.